everyone. Welcome to this week's Pulse Roadmap recording. We only have two of us, so this is the live from Casa Tam Tom version with Tamara and myself. The other two cohorts were involved in meetings and they couldn't make it, so just Tamara and I will take care of it this week. And we have so much to talk about, right, Tamara?
Not a lot.
So as normal, we will have the in development, which means Microsoft is currently working on it back in the bowels of Microsoft, wherever they are doing the changes at. At that point, we will switch to rolling out, which means it started to work its way out into the various tenants worldwide. And then we finish with launch, which means that these items should be fully implemented by now, and you should be able to see them in your tenant, provided that it's targeted for the type of tenant you have, whether it's worldwide or GCC, GCC High, or DoD. But with that, let's go ahead and get started. Tamara, why don't you kick it off with things that make you happy in the in development area?
Okay, I'll do a couple things and then I'll bounce it on back to you.
Sounds good.
So one thing that makes me excited is Microsoft Teams press the control spacebar to speak. So introducing the capacity to allow meeting participants to temporarily unmute by pressing the control key and the spacebar key to speak. Now this is rolling out to worldwide and GCC in October. And this is going to be great if you work in a sensitive environment so that you can have yourself on mute for the meeting and just push to talk so that you know you're being active and you don't accidentally leave your microphone on.
Right.
So I think that's going to be great.
Yeah, I like this one too. It's going to be a good feature, I think.
And then for safety's sakes, Microsoft Teams dynamic emergency calling for work from home for VDI on Azure Virtual Desktop. This feature enables users on the Azure Virtual Desktop on VDI to make an emergency call while working from home, and it will also allow users to validate and, if necessary, edit the address that will be communicated to the emergency responders. So it's making Teams not only a great way to communicate, but a tool to use during emergencies.
Yeah, that's always kind of worried me that if I were sitting in front of my computer right now and I, decided to call 911 for whatever reason, Portland, Oregon would be trying to find me, and I don't think Portland's going to find me with where I'm currently sitting at. So having those "here's where you really are" type environments is a really good thing. Anything else you want to mention?
Last thing, Microsoft Teams now available on CarPlay.
It's an interesting change there.
Yeah, so for those of you who take meetings in the car, you'll be able to do so through CarPlay. So you can do it hands-free. Now this is supposed to be rolling out in September of this year, and it's rolling out to GCC High, DoD, and worldwide.
Yeah, I think the ability to actually have your car, provided it's set up for CarPlay, to allow you to do Teams work in there, I think is a really interesting option and gives you the ability, if you're on the road, to do a lot more than you can. I mean, granted, you can use your mobile device for a lot of those things, but if you can just look at those nice big screens you have built into your dashboard on current cars, it's going to be a much nicer option at that point. So that's really cool. I'm looking forward to that one. Actually, I'm looking forward to that one in your car, because I don't think my car has that. So
no, because you have an old car.
Yeah, I have an old car, so we'll have to see how that all plays out. There's a number of items that are coming out for OneDrive. It looks like OneDrive was getting some love this particular week, and I'm just going to try to cover all those at a really high level. The first one is new information architecture for iOS. Now, the description on this is kind of vague. It says, to make it easier to discover options, OneDrive on iOS has a new information architecture, IA, using the bottom sheet to show all commanding options. Boy, that doesn't explain much of anything to me. But yeah, if you're using OneDrive on iOS, expect to see some changes at the bottom sheet, whatever your bottom sheet is on iOS. You also have on sync admin reports, there's going to be new sorting and filtering to allow you to sort and filter on devices in the sync admin reports, as well as aggregated error views. I think that'll be nice, especially if you're doing a lot of transition of people to OneDrive, where you can see kind of what's going on, what kind of errors might be coming up in the admin console. That's cool. OneDrive also has a new command bar coming out. And with this update, you will easily identify the right file and access primary commands. The simplified view allows you to focus on the content that is visually appealing. Again, not a whole lot of detail there, but when it comes out, you may be using OneDrive and all of a sudden you're going, wow, the command bar looks different. Yeah, they made changes that should be coming out in this month actually, and that's going to be a full-on rollout worldwide GCC, GCC High, and DoD. So that looks good. One other one that I'll point out before I throw it back to Tamara to see if she has anything, and that's in Microsoft Stream. So they've been doing changes to start putting things out to OneDrive and SharePoint. And so for those particular environments, there's going to be an updated web player for the video and audio files in those environments. And they actually list SharePoint, Teams, Yammer, and OneDrive for government clouds. So this does show a rollout to Yammer, SharePoint, Microsoft Stream, OneDrive for GCC, DoD, and GCC High. So basically what it means, bottom line, is that the web player that you're getting that used to look really nice and have some nice features within Stream, when they went to the whole OneDrive SharePoint environment, it lost some of that functionality. That functionality is starting to come back now. And so you're going to have better levels of accessibility for keyboard navigation, screen readers, new user look and feel. So again, keep an eye open for that, especially if you're GCC High or DoD. If you go to play your video and things look a little different, you now have that new screen, the player coming out, which will give you a different level of functionality and should get you back closer to what you had in Stream. So anything else that you see on the in development side there?
No.
Okay, so let's move on to rolling out. Rolling out, we have a whopping 2. So I'm going to go ahead and let Tamara pick the one that she wants to talk about, and I'll talk about the other one because they're both related to Stream.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that was your cue.
I'll talk about viewing the transcript for Microsoft Teams meetings recordings. So for team meetings recordings saved on OneDrive and SharePoint that were recorded with the Teams live transcript, you'll now be able to view the transcript from that meeting directly in the transcript pane next to the video player. So this is going to be great for people with different abilities, and it will make it easier, especially if you have trouble hearing or if English is not your first language. This is going to be very helpful. And that's rolling out worldwide this month.
Very good. And the other one that we have listed, you know, all that stuff I just told you about that's in development for GCC, GCC High, and DoD for the video viewer, all that is actually rolling out for worldwide. So everything I just told you, yeah, it's coming to worldwide tenant, and it's actually in the process of rolling out, where before it was just in development for the government tenants, GCC, GCC High, and DoD. So those are the only 2 things we actually had for rolling out. Let's go ahead and shift over to launch. These are items that you should have in your tenant now. By and large, we've talked about a lot of these, and in fact, there was must have been doing some cleanup, because some of the things that appeared on our list were ones that I know we've had for literally months, if not closer to a year. But why don't you go ahead and mention a couple that actually look recent to you, Tamara, and we'll go ahead and wrap it up here.
Sure. So SharePoint page detail updates. This update is to the page detail panel and will allow page authors to delete a page and change the page's URL. So I thought that was kind of nice. And then also in Microsoft Teams, the new assignment experience in a modal window for breakout rooms. So this is an enhanced user experience for participant assignments This includes new capabilities such as sorting participants and rooms and performing multiple selections and assignment to rooms. So this should really speed up the assignment process.
Cool. A couple of other things that I see out here that one is specific for GCC tenant, and that is in forms. You're going to have that correct answer choice in Teams meeting forms. So this means that when you're doing a poll within a Teams meeting, instead of just doing a quiz and you have your 4 different options or whatever it is, you can also specify correct answer. So it truly becomes a quiz at that point, not just a poll. That's been out.
Great for like learning checks.
Exactly. It's been out there for a while in the regular worldwide tenant. It's now coming to GCC. So you should be having that option in that environment. The other thing that's rolled out now that should be available to everybody, and that's in Microsoft Teams. There's a new default for Teams notification styles. So normally when you were getting notification in Teams, you'd have the little toaster pop up in the corner, nice dark purpley color, so it's stuck with the whole Teams theme. And what they've done now is for people who are now getting new Teams client, the default is going to be the actual native notification, which in many cases is your Windows notification. It will look and act a little different, but the primary benefit you get from that is the notifications you normally get in Windows for various things allows you to have more accessibility. You've got an action center where all this stuff is stored. You have a little bit more functionality in terms of being able to look at all your notifications that have come in and maybe not have it pop up continually when you're trying to look at things and you keep getting this purple thing that appears in your corner. I think you still
presentations.
Oh God, yeah. It's like I need what's behind that pop-up, and you keep closing them and they keep coming back up. You can probably still put it back to the Teams purple if you want to, but by default, it's going to be using your native notifications. So Mac, Windows, whatever, that's where these types of notifications are going to come up. Keep a lookout for that, especially if you're a new person hitting Teams. By default, that seemingly is going to be what you get now. So if you're having a few problems trying to find your notifications, you may want to check out your options within Teams to see what your notification settings are and adjust accordingly based on what you want. And with that, you talked about the only other 2 that I had highlighted there. Everything else is older or not things that necessarily floated our boat. So, wow, like a whopping 10 minutes into it, I do think we are done.
Yep.
That was a quick one.
That was.
So we'd like to thank you all for joining us. Next week, we hope to have both Adam and Jennifer back, and we can be back to our full-on group, and we'll have Adam talk about geeky stuff, which is always better because he understands it instead of me just being a talking head for those things. So with that, I hope you all have a great rest of your Thursday or whatever day you're watching this. Enjoy your week, and we will check in with you again next week. So bye, everyone.
Bye now.